Hi, I'm Zach. Today we're going to talk about precision measuring tools, specifically the difference between a caliper and a micrometer. These are two tools that are used by many trades, all the way from really precise machinists to general handyman and maintenance technicians. Let's dig in and learn more about each. Both of these tools are available in a wide range of quality, size, and price. They can be had for as little as $10, or you could spend several $100s depending on the quality that you want and the precision of work that you're going to be doing with them. Also, they're available in two different types of readouts, either a dial scale or an analog scale, as is the case with this micrometer, or as is the case with this caliper, a digital scale. Now the digital readout, the LCD readout, is nice because it allows you to flip between three different units of measure. Most of these will let you read out in metric units, in inch decimal, or in inch fraction. And you can get the digital readout on either the micrometer or the caliper. Let's dig into the micrometer a little bit more and see what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are, and just learn a little bit more about it. Both the tools I have here today are of generally equal value and quality. They're on kind of the lower end of the scale, and that suits my needs just fine. There are a couple things that make the micrometer a little bit more accurate and sometimes a little bit more difficult to use, especially for the novice user. So let's come on in a little bit closer to the desk. One of the things that increases the cost of making a micrometer versus a caliper is the mechanism inside this barrel that actually does the measuring. There's just more going on in here, and that takes more time and precise machine work to actually make this tool. However, on the upside, the fact that the barrel, the part that actually does the measuring, is completely in line with the workpiece, that contributes to the accuracy of the tool, along with this nice heavy cast frame. I have here just a regular quarter, and I'm going to slip it between the jaws, and I'm going to turn this dial in gently with the tail end of the dial here. Now listen. You hear that clicking. Inside the tail of the dial here is a ratchet mechanism that's set to a precise pressure, and when it hits that pressure against the workpiece, it trips, so you can't over tighten it. And that consistent pressure is going to be one of the things that largely contributes to getting consistent reading. Now I could take and grab one to the outer barrel here, and I could really crank into this to make sure I have good pressure on the workpiece, but all that's going to do is put more wear and tear on the gears and potentially compress the workpiece. Even if by a 10,000th of an inch, not much, it could still be enough to throw the reading off. One of the things that makes it more difficult to use is that you do need two hands on the tool, and if you have a free-floating workpiece, you kind of need 3 or 4 hands sometimes, and so it's just a little less intuitive to use. So to release, you just grab onto that same dial and reverse it, and the workpiece falls out. A lot of machinists work in increments of thousandths of an inch, and there will be allowable tolerances. Now, this is something that Essential Craftsman talks a lot about, that I really enjoy hearing him talk about this concept. Every trade has allowable tolerances, everything from plumbing to craftsmanship to big framing, construction and carpentry, and those allowable tolerances are a set of precision that's allowed. Now, take for instance a fine cabinet maker versus a house framer, a framing carpenter. Both trades work with wood, but a cabinet maker is going to need to really, to maintain his trade, use a more precise standard to build to. Whereas a framing carpenter, if it's within a quarter of an inch or a half an inch or sometimes an inch on certain elements of the job, that's good enough. There are other elements of that framing job that need to be exact. So in the same way, a machinist is going to use a different tool depending on the application. So back to thousandths of an inch. Say you have a tolerance and you need to machine some part to, let's say, 5 thousandths of an inch, or 50 thousandths of an inch, let's say, and the allowable tolerance is plus or minus 1 thousandth of an inch. Well, if you have a tool that allows you to measure, if the tolerance of the tool itself is within a thousandth of an inch, that's not close enough. You need to typically be able to read to the 10,000ths of an inch so that you know how close the piece that you're working on is to the limits of that allowable tolerance. So a micrometer, more often than not, is going to be the tool that gives you that level of precision. Again, this is a lower end tool, and so this particular caliper, or rather micrometer, only measures to the thousandths. Let's go over to the calipers and look at those and look at some features that make them strong for what they're intended for. Between these two tools, the calipers are what gets far more use in my work setting. They're cheaper, they're easier to use one-handed or for a new person to learn to use, and they give you a larger variety of measurements, or allow you to measure a larger variety of objects. First of all, you can use them one-handed pretty easily. You just grab the tail loosely by your hand, and then use your right thumb or left thumb, whichever hand you happen to use the best, and operate the sliding scale. You can use the other hand and just to grip the workpiece and grab your measurement, and then just loosen up and the piece drops free. There's so many different features packed in to the jaws of a set of calipers. First of all, in the main jaw, there's a large flat spot here which does the bulk of the work. If you need to get a more precise measurement in a narrow area, there's a thinner set at the front. Say for instance, with a coin, for instance, here's a quarter that has a lip on the back. The rearmost section of the jaws here have a little relief cut. I don't know if you can see that there. And that's so that if you're measuring something with a lip on the back side, well, this is a little bit cattywampus because there's a lip on both sides. But if I had something with a lip on the back side and I wanted to measure the main body of that workpiece, this relief cut would allow me to jump over that lip and not have the reading affected by it. Flipping over to the back, we have a set of jaws on the back that I can measure the inside diameter of an object. So the inside of this pen cap is 47/128 of an inch. If I wanted to measure the depth of something, I just go to the tail end here, and there is a rod that protrudes out the back and is flush at 0. So I can just run that in till it bottoms out, and that pen cap is 1 9/16 of an inch deep. Pretty handy. I was working on a project this week where I need to drill 2 holes in a piece of sheet plastic at precisely the same distance apart every time. So I used my automatic center punch, punched a divot where I want the first hole, lock the caliper at the distance that I have set, in my case 1 3/8 inches. Then that allowed me to rest one of these points in that divot and then just scribe a light mark where the other divot needs to be and give me a precise location, a precise distance each and every time. One of the downsides of these calipers is that they're going to be a little less precise than equivalent quality standard of micrometers. There are a couple things that contribute to that. First of all, this long body, which gets you up to, looks like a 6-inch measurement, is also just more susceptible to flexing. It could be, getting tapped or dropped on a workbench, or something falling on it, or even just as simple as temperature fluctuations can cause the tail of this to bend. It's not going to throw the reading off much, but over a long reading, say a 5-inch object, it could impact the accuracy. Another thing that a concern that I've seen raised before, heard raised before, is that the workpiece that you're trying to measure is not in line with the actual measurement gauge. So here there's a right angle that the measurement has to be transferred through, and that just provides one more error, or one more possibility for error in the measuring. So the common allowable tolerance that I see with a set of inexpensive calipers is 3/1000ths of an inch, which is enough for the kind of things I usually work with. So if you need a tolerance, need to measure a tolerance tighter than 3/1000ths of an inch and need absolute accuracy, a micrometer is going to be the way to go. One thing I should say that makes these a little bit less expensive to manufacture is you can see that the construction is just a little bit simpler, but the actual measurement is taken on the back side. Most calipers have a rack and pinion sort of teeth back here. So this whole inside channel would be lined with teeth, and then there'd be a small gear that's fixed to the measurement, the actual gauge in here, and where that, as you slide the body or slide the housing back and forth on the tail, that turns that gear inside, thus giving a different reading and giving you your measurement that you're looking for. This particular model is a digital one and takes a battery. Sometimes it's frustrating when that battery goes dead in the middle of a project, or you don't have time to run to the store. Usually it doesn't cut right out, it kind of flickers in and out, but it's well worth the trade-off to have that fractional measurement when you're trying to measure, say, just a bolt or a pipe fitting, and you don't have to go through the work of converting decimals to fractions. So I've made a pretty strong case for calipers being the way to go. There are instances in which a micrometer is the way to go, and there's really no substitute. And if you're in that boat, you probably already know it. But for the vast majority of other hobbyists, tinkerers, makers, and just general maintenance people, then a caliper is the way to go. They're cheaper, they're easier to use, there's just nothing not to love about them. You can measure so many different things in so many different directions. Anyhow, I've touted them enough. I'll throw a link in the description if you want to pick up a pair just like this for yourself. That's all for today. If you want to learn more about the mechanical and electrical world around you, hit subscribe and tap the bell to be notified every time we upload. We'll see you next time.